So Tara McCafferty, the queen of mortgages in Jacksonville. So you moved from Reno, Nevada to Jacksonville, Florida. Um, Not just a distance change, I'm sure somewhat of a cultural change. Um, so how's it going being a loan officer in a completely new area where you literally knew how long ago how long has that been?
Yeah, so we actually hit the road a year ago this week. We were arriving next week will be a year that we landed
Wow.
in this area.
Yeah. So and had you refresh my memory. Had you pick Florida from Reno? Like what was the just that's where the dart landed on the
Yes.
map?
You know, I got licensed in Florida a couple years ago, and it
Okay.
was part of what might have been a succession plan later. And my husband wants to be somewhere warm by the water, away from the snow, closer to the Caribbean. And so it was a thing for him.
So close to the I
We
was gonna
just,
say well Texas, but it's not close to Caribbean, right? It's not close
yeah,
to Caribbean. So I guess that would
yeah,
leave like I guess Florida's the only one that's close to Caribbean, really.
right, right.
Yeah.
A
So
direct
y'all
flight.
enjoy y'all enjoy the islands?
We do. Yes, we actually, it's a direct flight from Orlando, and you're there in a couple of hours, and it's just a slower pace of life.
And
It's
where's there for you?
usually St. Thomas, St. John.
But y'all have a place there, right?
Yes, on St.
Yeah.
Thomas. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's a couple hour flight.
yeah, what, 2.5, 240.
How often do you go there?
Not enough.
Yeah.
uh, you know, with the move, we actually have only been once since we moved because there's just been so many moving parts. But we are taking Aiden for his 17th birthday in a couple of weeks.
Which your
And
son, for
yes,
somebody who might not know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
his 17th birthday's coming up.
it is our youngest.
Wow.
So
17, what grade is he in?
he's a junior in high school.
He's a junior. Wow. So next year is a big year. Wow. How
Yeah.
exciting. So 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 the move, so and I don't mean physically the move, but like let's say business wise and emotionally. Um you move to a place you literally, to my understanding, knew zero people there. So you didn't move to Jacksonville because you've got this huge sphere of influence there. It's like nobody, like literally
Nobody.
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 So, so walk me through the first, like, I don't know, 90 days, four
Yeah.
months, 5 months, 6 months, like you show up to work on Monday morning and you go, all right, here we
Right.
are,
Yeah.
clean slate.
Hmm.
Like, what do you start with?
You know, I mean, fortunate for me, I've got my clients and my referral partners in California and Nevada. And so that was always, that was comfortable. Getting into what was uncomfortable and really trying to grow my business, which has become very comfortable. And we can talk about that. But for me, it was really getting on the phone and meeting people and doing what we do and networking with real estate agents and title reps. And, I had a few contacts a couple of hours away down in Brevard County. And so just started kind of, calling on them and networking with them. And the first 90 days was a lot of, what are we doing here? It was
Yeah.
to be
Second guessing.
exact, yeah, like 33 weeks ago, I've been tracking that I really started to dive in on consistently calling real estate agents in Florida only. Like just that was my new leg of my business, calling new qualified agents.
So the first 90 days, just truth be known, what I'm hearing you say is we're looking to see when's the next flight back to Reno.
Right. And I was on
Yeah,
a few.
I get
I
it.
did travel back there a few times right away. Yes.
I get it. And so what was the so in the last year, what's been your what's been the most units you've closed in any one given month?
In December, I closed 13 units.
All right, perfect. So 13. And of those 13, how many were from Florida?
Yeah, about half my business is coming out of Florida.
Okay, so of the 13, give or take,
Six,
seven,
but yeah.
6, 7, something like that. So
hmm
we could, if we eliminate the Reno, Nevada ones, and I think you had a couple Californias. I think you were,
hmm
some people were on the borderline there. So, so let's call it 6 or 7 that you're closing in Florida. And again, we don't talk bips here, but let's just, we talk about the average is $3,000 per closing, nationwide. And so if we got six times three is 18 grand for the month. Not bad for one, for just getting started. So
Right.
like, so what was your hook? So here you're calling these people that literally have zero chance of ever hearing about you in the past.
hmm
Like, what would be your hook?
For me, I really genuinely wanted to meet people and get to know people, and I wanted people to get to know me. Um, so my call that I make to new real estate agents is I'm a student of success, and you have done very well in a very challenging market and a challenging time in our industry. And I just want to hear what you've done. And I want to get to know you and hear, what's worked for you in such a difficult, market.
So when you're calling, you said 33 weeks ago, not that anybody's counting, uh, you decided to, hey, I'm gonna beat this like a rented mule. Like
hmm
I'm gonna really get serious here.
hmm
It's a horrible statement. I need to. That's an old
Truth be
thing for me.
told.
There's no mules actually being spanked, but you decide to really just take control of this, and so you started calling. How many? Like if you're calling when you first started calling, how many? Like was it a list of 20 or 5 or 30 or 50? Like more or less, what would you?
Yeah. I consistently am calling 90 new real estate agents a week.
Wow, so big number. So
hmm
out of that 90, I'm getting ready to ask you something that probably doesn't even matter as I'm sitting here thinking about it. What I was going to ask you is how many of that 90 have a meeting? That's probably the wrong question. Probably the right question is how many meetings are when you're doing that, how many meetings are you doing? And because it doesn't matter how many dials I'm doing, it
hmm
really matters how many meetings I
hmm
get. But just
hmm
give us a so if like if you're calling 90 agents that have never heard of you,
hmm
um, how many meetings a week or a month or a day? Like, what does that look like?
My initial goal was to set 8 and keep 5
Okay.
meetings a week. I would say on average, with the high level of reschedules and or something came up last minute, I probably meet, 3 new agents a week.
And so
And
how many meetings are set? And I get it, some of them get pushed
yeah,
out, but how many actual meetings are set?
I'm setting anywhere from like probably 5 to 7 a week.
Okay, 5 to 7. So basically, if I just doing the math here in my head, so like you'll make 12, 13 phone calls to get a yes.
hmm hmm
Out of that 12 or 13, when you're calling the 90, how many voicemails do you get? How many actually answer the phone?
A lot of voicemails. So I'm probably getting I talk to uh 20 of them last week. Yeah, about 20 the week 22 the week before.
So that's more interesting numbers. So like if it's 22 and you're setting 5, 6 appointments,
Mm-hmm.
it's really more like 1 out of 5, at
Of the
least
top two.
initially, give
Yeah,
you a yes.
right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's pretty darn good, Tara. Are you meeting physically with these people, or are you doing a Zoom meeting with them?
Zoom meeting.
So that,
Yeah.
I bet that's what it is. I think, when the Zoom first came out, we were noticing that the belly to belly, the face to face meetings, um, I think had more influence. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
they worked better.
Mm-hmm.
But then what we started noticing was the Zoom meetings were easier to set.
Mm-hmm.
And so we and other loan officers like yourself that was doing it were getting more yeses with
Mm-hmm.
the Zoom offer. And so even though the face to face might have converted a little higher, we got a lot more at bats doing it the Zoom way. And I think I've reversed my decision that I think if you're in a little small town like, I don't know, Palm Harbor, I mean, from one end of Palm Harbor to the other is like 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
literally, like maybe 15, like literally. And so here it'd be kind of weird not to meet them 5, 10 minutes away.
Right.
But if I lived in like Jacksonville, like where you do, where it takes an hour and a half to go from one
Mm-hmm.
side of town to the other, I think the Zoom meetings is definitely a way to go. I do. I think it's a way to go. All right. So if you're calling on 90, 22 answer, and again we're just doing ballpark numbers here. 22
Mm-hmm.
answer, 5 or 6 and says yes, I'll meet with you. Um, Half of those, my dog ate my homework, my kid's sick, I got a showing, I can't make it. The other half show up. Of the half that shows up, so the 3 or so that show up each week, how many of those end up actually sending you a referral? So if you meet with, not if, when you meet with 10 agents, how many of those 10 actually start sending you business?
I would say out of the 10, I'm probably only getting qualified leads out of 2 out of 10.
That's that's actually about right. I get mine's 16%. So
Okay.
I'm averaging
Yeah, I was going to
1.6.
say 1 to 2, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
right in. Yeah.
So you know what I found funny with all this is it's almost no matter who's calling, and almost no matter where they're calling, and almost no matter how many years they've been doing it, the results that we get, it's almost like it's a mathematical formula. Like it's freaky on how duplicatable, a lot of this stuff is, because your numbers sound, about the same as mine, or for the people that actually do it. And first of all, my hat's off to you for doing that. It's pretty predictable.
Mhm. That was my biggest aha, and I think probably the most freeing for me was it got me out of my own head to
Hmm.
where I could just dumb it down to the math.
Hmm.
And being on Loan Officer Breakfast Club and Call Stars, it was like the numbers or the numbers or the numbers. And it didn't matter if they were in a small town where it was snowing all winter long, or they were in Florida in the sunshine in, a big metropolitan area like Jacksonville. It didn't matter. Those numbers convert at almost identical ratios. So I knew that I just needed to do the numbers. And you and I have talked about this. I was like, okay, Carl, I'll do it for 12 weeks. And I was certain that I was going to punch holes in your process. And then it worked. And I was like, all right,
Damn
you've
it,
got me.
schmuck. That is kind of I've never thought about that. Is kind of a freeing experience, that now that you know what the numbers are, those are the numbers.
Mhm.
It's very predictable. Like if I want to drive to Jacksonville, it's 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, so we're going to go to Jacksonville. You're going to be driving 5 hours, and that's just it's predictable. Like each and every
Mm-hmm.
time, that's exactly how long it is. And so if somebody sticks with it, this is the result you get. What's been so, and maybe this has something to do with starting a whole new. Oh, before I do that, tell me about your team. So do you have any help? Are they under roof? Are they located somewhere else? Are you a one woman band? Like, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm. So I have two full-time people on my team, and then we pull on a company resource as a third now.
Okay.
My daughter is my marketing specialist, does all of my CRM and marketing. She's lives about 2 hours away from me.
Okay.
My processor lives in Reno, Nevada, so across the nation, and she works from home and does a fantastic job. I've moved her from a hybrid role to more of a front end pre-approval specialist processor. And then we have a company shared processor on the back end that is now getting those files and moving them through to underwriting and calling out conditions and such.
Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think or tell me what you'd like to hear next.
So as far as like the team moving with your daughter, I guess kind of sort of, even though 2 hours away, frankly, I mean, personally wise, I'm sure you love having her, and I've met her, your daughter. She's a very charming lady. I'm sure you're giddy that she's only 2 hours away. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as business wise, hell, she might as well be in Reno.
Mm-hmm.
And so it proves yet again that where our team is really doesn't matter. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter. What's been the biggest after you got the initial ramping up, which is overcoming all those fears and they don't know me, nobody's going to want to talk to me, and all that crap that goes through our head that's totally not true, apparently, because you've had great success. What's been the biggest challenge other than the initial 90 days, so to speak? After 90 days, when you started having success, what's been the biggest challenge?
I think for me, it's number one, keeping that it's gotten to the point where I have to try and keep my prospect. Like, I don't, some days I have to put a lid on my prospecting because we want to prospect all day long. And that's where I'm on my A game. And so I love to do that. But then I find I'm doing catch up things that eventually, hopefully, I won't be doing anymore. But right now I am. And that's, my into the evening kind of stuff. So that's probably been the biggest thing is just trying to find a, a consistent daily schedule that works with for me and then can handle that growth because when you go to say 13 units you can't get in the weeds with a lot of those files and still do everything else that needs to get done in a day.
To close 13 the next month too,
Right.
and we end up with and God knows I've been there. We all have the inevitable roller coaster, and
Mm-hmm.
I think Tara, I think that's just part of the growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
That I think when if we have a bit of a slump, and we all do, I think that kind of lets us know, oh geez, here's an area I need to work on. Because the reason I had a slump is because I decreased my prospecting time because this thing over here was requiring my attention. And so either A, I need to get somebody to help me prospect, or B, I need to get somebody to handle this distraction thing over here that's necessary, but maybe or maybe not by me. So I think a lot of it is just figuring out like who does what on the team. I
Mm-hmm.
think for me has always been anytime I have a down month, it's likely and when I say a team issue, not that anybody's doing anything wrong, but it's a structure of the team issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's either well, there's only one and only reason we have a slump. decreased prospecting, period. So then
Mhm.
it's like, well, what caused that? And most of the time, it's a structure of the team issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
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 And moving people around and figuring out, yes, where you can shift responsibilities. And there's things that I was doing, and I met with my team several weeks ago after one of your alliance meetings, which really got my brain like going, giving your brain a problem to solve. And when you talk about your goal and where you want to be in 12 months and doubling that number and then shortening the time in half so that your brain is like, okay, I can't do that the way I'm doing it now. I've got to think outside of that box. And I literally got on a meeting with my team and was like, I'm not doing this anymore and I'm not doing that anymore. And they fall in place and pick up those pieces so that, those are things that just I enjoyed doing them, not as much as I enjoy prospecting and
Yeah.
getting new deals in the door, but they're just things I can't do.
Yeah. Now, when you made your move here a year ago, um, gosh, it seems a lot longer than that. Just being honest with you, we've been buddies for years, and it seems like you've been up the road for, I was going to guess, at least 2 years.
Oh,
So I'm
well.
a little surprised on one. So did you change companies at the same time, or do you stick with the same company when you made the move?
So I actually, all in that month, I went back to the company that I had been away from for 2 years. So I was with them
Okay.
for 11 years, left for 2 years, and went back. And it was a couple of weeks before we made the move to Florida. So,
Okay. So, boy, this was a lot of changes. I changed my location and I changed companies. I guess probably this a bit of a saving grace to you. It was a company you've been with before, so you didn't
mhm.
have to relearn everything all over again and figuring out who over there is your dancing partners. You danced with them before, and
For the most part, a little bit of new, acclimation with changes and structure. But yes, when you know the culture and you know the company and you can kind of navigate the main resources, makes it easier.
so what's next?
Oh my gosh, my goals are so big. For me, it's really getting consistent with my production and increasing it. So I jotted down, I closed 57 units last year,
Okay.
in the midst of the move and closing out one company and starting with another. And um, 25 of those units were in Q4. And
Um,
so if you look at my quarterly average and the trajectory of where I'm going and where I want to be, um, you know, that unit volume is going up by the quarter.
yeah.
And so for me, it's just hitting those goals with my production, helping more families get into homes, really growing my footprint here in Florida. I do a little bit of business in Tennessee and Georgia now too.
How are you?
Uh,
How you getting inroads into there?
so I have helped a couple of clients that were going to actually buy houses or that I knew from Nevada that have migrated to those states. Or locally, I have a client who refinanced two properties in Florida and one in Georgia. And then it's really just a stepping stone to now I can network with the listing agent and their buyer's agent and their escrow. And then you shine on your transaction and you ask for the business on your Tuesday calls. And, you grow that network. So I haven't started calling on agents specifically in those states yet, just because Florida's kept me plenty busy.
And it's a
Um,
great. It's a great. You know, it's a great lending state. But in say, I think most states are.
Hmm.
That most states, I know top producers in pretty much all 50 states. I mean, I couldn't sit here and limit, but I'm just trying to think of any state that I haven't heard of somebody. And it never, who was it? I was just talking this morning. Who was that? Adam, he's in upstate New York. And he was on the Alliance call. I think it was yesterday. And so he's in upstate New York where it is just brutally cold, like brutally cold. I think he's like, what do you say? He's like an hour from Montreal. Like this is cold weather up there.
Mm.
And I think he closed, and they get this off totally top of my head, 24 units for January in upstate New York. So it's not like it's a big, it's not like it's Breckenridge, Colorado, where you have all these tourists coming in and they do all these second homes in the winter.
Mhm.
No, he's like, so yeah. I don't know what got me off on that.
So much of it is about finding your tribe, and when you hit it off with a real estate agent on a Zoom call or on a phone call that leads you to an in-person appointment or whatever that is, you're really looking for those one or two out of 10 that match your energy level and your values. The other 9 are just stepping stones to help you find those people that you click with. And that was one thing that I think in the past I've blamed it on the area that I'm in or the market that I'm in, and now it's like it's actually really exciting to be in a new area. So for people who are apprehensive about moving or starting in a new area, what a great opportunity to meet people. And you don't have to go to the same like Association of Realtors dinners and see those same people. Like start new, start fresh. And
Do you do that kind of thing? Do you go to those types of things?
I was in Reno. I'm not here.
Yeah.
I don't find a tremendous amount of value, but in certain areas, like in Reno, they did put a lot of stock in those types of things, but it is a smaller community. And so it was like everybody was at those events. So you kind of had to put yourself in those places.
Mhm.
But here, you can just kind of get lost in, and like,
So I mean, you know me, I'm a bit of an introvert. I never did that stuff. And nothing against it. It's just like I hate doing that kind of thing. I
yeah.
refuse to do things I hate doing. And what I found was, now that I know what I know, at those events, there's going to be qualified great agents and what we call struggle bunnies, like ones that aren't, they're kind of in, they're kind of out, and maybe they're part-time real estate and part-time, taxi driver or whatever, stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home mom, whatever. And so if I just go mix with a group there, so if you pull the stat, 5% of real estate agents are actually movers and shakers. They close, give or take a deal a month, a buy side, a month. It's only 5%. So if I meet 100 agents there, only 95, so 95 of them, total waste of time.
Mhm.
So like when you go to those things, how do you know, I don't know. And maybe that
If
was just a
if their name tag's not in cursive, I don't know.
yeah, I thought, I don't know. And maybe I was just making excuses because I just didn't enjoy doing that kind of thing. And frankly, it's the evening and I'd rather be home, with the kid, at the time the kids were living at home. And I don't know. I just,
Yeah.
it
I
just,
think point is like I thought I had to be to those things and I thought I had to show up to them, and you don't. You really don't. And you really don't even have to go and meet people physically for coffee 4 times a day and drink coffee that you don't want to drink. If you don't want to drink it, it's like either we click or we don't, and we see value in what we bring to each other. And if we do, great. Like, let's have another conversation. But
mm, mm. So you've done a lot of inspiration here, intentionally or not. What I heard you say is hey, if you put a proven plan together and you just do it, it's just the numbers, and there's just no way around that. And which is actually comforting. You've proven, inspired me that I don't have to know everybody in the county to do well, because you didn't know anybody other than your husband. You knew zero people who was not sending you referrals, by the way,
Right.
because he worked for the transportation department or something like that, if I remember right.
Mhm.
And so it's very inspiring that I could throw a dart on the map and insert in a proven strategy, and I can either make business or I can make excuses. Which one am I going to choose to do?
Mhm.
And so that's very inspiring. So if you were to say, just kind of as we wrap this up today, if you were to say one thing you got loan officers all across the country going to listen to this, what's one message that Tara has for them?
For me, you just got to do it. You got to get those practice calls behind you. You got to fumble through it and not expect perfection. Um, and we've talked about this. Find your why. Your why has to be big enough. If your why is not big enough, then all of it's for nothing.
All of us
You're
for
just not going
nothing.
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my friend, I just absolutely adore you. You're a wonderful person. You're a great friend. You've been an inspiration for many across the country, because this is not the first conversation you and I have had. And you just bring an absolute joy into the alliance and the things that we do. You're just a great ambassador, and I'm forever grateful for everything that you do. And thanks for coming on here today.
Yes. Well, thanks for having me, and plug in for your amazing program and your team. I couldn't have done it without you guys.
All right. Well, thank you a lot, Terry. I appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Good stuff. Hey, just real quick. I'm getting ready to start another small group, much like the one that Tara's in, called the Alliance. And this is a small group that I personally meet with, and think of it like a mastermind meeting, I guess. It's really more of like picture having your own board of directors that's helping you with your marketing and your team growth, and uh, what to do next, what's getting the best results. And this is a very, very, very small group. I think there's like 12 or 13 or 14 of us in each group. And frankly, I think that one of the things I'm most proud of is who else are in these small groups. I think they bring as much value, frankly, and maybe I would argue maybe more than I do. It's just some really, really, really positive people who's getting great results, just like Tara. But anyway, hey, if you'd like to know more about that, would be happy to talk to you about that. But starting here real soon, go to getmoreloans.com, getmoreloans.com, and they'll tell you more about it. I think it's be a good idea perhaps to take a peek inside and see what we're doing. So yeah, we've been getting some really good results from the people that's in it, and frankly, it's one of my favorite things to do. I really, really, really enjoy that part. So getmoreloans.com. It's your turn now. You're worth it. Thanks so much for listening to our episode here, and again, kudos for Tara for making things happen and pushing through and being such a great inspiration, certainly to me, and I'm sure many of you. So be sure to thank her anytime you see her. Appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you on the inside at getmoreloans.com, and we'll see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom. Thanks again, everybody. Bye bye.